The cold water exploded around us, and for one terrifying second I thought I had lost her. Her feet searched desperately for the pool floor that wasn't there. Panic erased every lesson I had taught her, and she threw her arms around my shoulders with all the strength she had left. She wasn't trying to be dramatic, she was trying to survive. Her heart pounded against my chest as fear took complete control, and in that unforgettable moment I realized that saving her from the water would be much easier than helping her escape the fear she had carried for years. What I didn't know was that the frightened young woman clinging to me was about to change my life forever, just as I was about to change hers. Before we continue, if stories of hope, kindness, and second chances inspire you, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness Second Chances. Your support allows us to keep bringing heartfelt stories that remind us the smallest acts of kindness can transform lives. 3 years before that unforgettable day, my life had fallen apart in complete silence. My relationship with the woman I believed I would marry had ended after years of love slowly disappeared beneath misunderstandings, distance, and painful family conflicts. There were no dramatic betrayals or angry final words. Instead, there was only sadness and two people who no longer knew how to repair what had once seemed unbreakable. After the breakup I moved to a quiet coastal town, determined to build a different future. I became a swimming instructor at the local community recreation center because water had always given me peace. Every day I watched frightened children become confident swimmers, elderly people overcome lifelong fears, and families celebrate small victories together. Helping others slowly helped heal the broken parts inside me. I had convinced myself that I would never see anyone connected to my former relationship again. Life, however, has an unusual way of testing promises we make to ourselves. One bright Saturday morning, while preparing beginner swimming classes, I looked toward the entrance and froze. Walking carefully toward the pool was Lily, my ex-girlfriend's younger sister. She looked older, more mature, yet her nervous smile was exactly the same as I remembered. She immediately apologized, explaining she had recently transferred to the local university and had registered for swimming lessons without realizing I was one of the instructors. She even offered to leave and request another teacher, but something about the uncertainty in her eyes stopped me from agreeing. The past had already stolen enough from both of us. Running away again would only give it more power. The lesson began quietly. The warm indoor pool reflected sunlight across the ceiling while the smell of chlorine mixed with echoes of children laughing in nearby lanes. Lily admitted she had always been terrified of deep water because she nearly drowned during a family vacation when she was only 8 years old. Even standing in the shallow end made her shoulders tense. I started with the simplest exercises imaginable. Breathing slowly. Floating while holding the edge. Learning to trust that water could support her instead of pulling her down. Every tiny success earned a genuine smile that she seemed to have forgotten she could wear. As the weeks passed, I noticed something remarkable. Lily never missed a lesson. Some mornings she arrived exhausted from university classes. Other days she admitted anxiety had almost convinced her to stay home. Yet she always stepped into the pool. Courage, I realized once again, is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that your dreams matter more than your fears. Eventually the day arrived when she was ready to practice in the deeper section. I stayed beside her every second, supporting her while encouraging her to trust the skills she had already developed. Everything seemed fine until she accidentally drifted just beyond where she could comfortably stand. The moment her feet failed to touch the bottom, old memories overwhelmed her. Panic erased every instruction she had learned. She gasped, lost control of her breathing, and instinctively reached for the nearest source of safety. She wrapped herself around me as tightly as she could while trembling uncontrollably. I kept my balance, held her securely above the water, and calmly reminded her to breathe one slow breath at a time. After nearly a minute, her heartbeat gradually slowed. Tears mixed with pool water as she realized she was completely safe. When we returned to the pool steps, Lily quietly apologized through tears, embarrassed that fear had taken over so completely. I assured her there was nothing to apologize for. Fear does not make someone weak. It simply reveals where healing is still needed. Those words seemed to reach a place inside her that had been locked away for years. Over the following month our lessons became about much more than swimming. Between practice sessions she shared how difficult life had become after her father's serious illness placed enormous financial pressure on the family. She admitted everyone had been trying so hard to stay strong that nobody allowed themselves to admit how frightened they truly were. I listened without judgment because I understood what hidden pain felt like. Sometimes people aren't looking for solutions. Sometimes they simply need someone willing to stay beside them until the storm passes. One rainy evening after class, as the pool slowly emptied, Lily thanked me for refusing to give up on her. She explained that every previous attempt to learn swimming had ended after only a few lessons because instructors focused only on technique instead of understanding her fear. She said I had taught her something far more valuable than swimming. I had taught her that progress happens through patience, not pressure. Weeks later the recreation center organized a community swimming showcase for beginner students. Lily almost withdrew her name several times. Standing near the starting edge that morning, I could see the familiar uncertainty returning to her face. Yet this time something was different. Instead of focusing on the depth beneath her feet, she focused on the confidence she had slowly built through dozens of small victories. She entered the water calmly, pushed away from the wall, and began swimming toward the opposite side of the pool. Every stroke represented another step away from the frightened child she once believed she would always be. Halfway across, she paused for just a moment, looked ahead instead of down, and continued moving forward. When her hand finally touched the opposite wall, the audience erupted into heartfelt applause. Parents smiled, children cheered, and several instructors wiped away emotional tears. Lily herself cried openly, overwhelmed not because she had completed a swim, but because she had finally defeated the fear that had controlled her life for so many years. Watching her celebrate that victory taught me something unexpected about my own life. I had spent years believing my greatest loss was the relationship that ended. In reality, my greatest mistake had been allowing heartbreak to convince me that my best days were already behind me. Helping someone else heal reminded me that kindness has an extraordinary way of healing the person giving it as well. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please support the video by liking, sharing, subscribing to Ripple of Kindness Second Chances, and leaving a comment. Your encouragement helps these meaningful stories reach people who may need hope today. Special request: before this story ends, tell us in the comments about a moment when someone's kindness helped you overcome one of your greatest fears. Your experience might inspire someone else who is struggling right now. A few days later I received a handwritten thank you letter from Lily. She explained that although everyone believed I had simply taught her how to swim, the truth was much deeper. I had helped her believe she was stronger than the fear that had followed her since childhood. As I stood alone beside the ocean that evening, watching the waves roll gently toward the shore, I realized that life rarely offers us the chance to rewrite the past. Instead, it gives us opportunities to create a better ending than we ever imagined. Sometimes second chances don't arrive as restored relationships or forgotten mistakes. Sometimes they arrive quietly, disguised as a simple act of kindness that gives another person the courage to keep moving forward. And in helping someone else stay afloat, we often discover that our own hearts have finally learned how to heal.